How's it going? Welcome back to The Rundown. The Rundown with me, Dan the Mexican. Here's me on the socials. Thank you very much for watching and for being here. Just going to wet my whistle. Good stuff. It is late in the afternoon, near the evening. It's 5:30 in Dublin, Ireland. And we're going to talk some MMA. So I put up a few videos and they all got pulled. I didn't know why they got pulled. So I put up a video again, changed it around. That got pulled. Then I tried to edit the videos and then the rendering, this takes ages, and finally put it up. That got pulled. I didn't know why I was getting pulled. I finally know why they were getting pulled down. One of them was a Shadow of War video, and that was to do with the fact that what I thought was royalty-free music, just in one of those, soundscape kind of things on YouTube, where like 2 hours long. It was actually a soundscape of legitimate songs that I didn't know the bands or the songs, just the genre of music. So they all got flagged. So I had to pull loads of that down. So the long stream is actually shortened to like 50 minutes, like bang in the middle where the YouTube video just stopped. So there was no more sound of the music. And then in regards to MMA videos, the main problem I had was, the videos that I put up were, I take little snippets of the fight ending finish, and either I don't need to break it down because it's very obvious, or I try my best to break it down, explaining to people who who enjoy MMA, but like they enjoy the big UFC fights, but they're not really sure what they're watching. I'm no expert, but I can safely say that I know a bit more from looking what I'm looking at than someone who just goes in for the odd UFC as the super casual fan. Casual like a cashew. Problem was, the video that I use for that, I usually have the contrast up super high. So the whites, anything against the black, any color bleeds out into its own image. So the UFC logo and the Metro PCI, all these logos, especially things like the UFC, which is on the gloves and on the shorts, they get blurred because the contrast is up so high and the brightness is up just a tad that you can't actually make it out. So there's algorithms that basically look for patterns and symbols in videos that people don't have license to use. And if it scans it and that comes up, they pull it. They pull the video. Thankfully, it used to be you are barred, you're just blocked, and that's it. And you're like, what the hell? But now it's just like, no, your video didn't get uploaded. Either file a dispute, remove the bad content, or upload a different video. Don't worry, your standing is fine. I didn't do that with any of the videos. I didn't have the contrast or anything like that up, so they spotted all the UFC symbols on the gloves and everything like that. That was my own mistake, and I know now, but I only kind of realized this the day before when I was talking to my mate about exactly what the hell was going on and why they were different, why I had many videos of that nature that weren't pulled and they're uploaded and they're still there to watch, and there's others, the newer one that was pulled, which was really very annoying because UFC 228 was fucking incredible. Take away the gates, take away how much money did it make, how much pay-per-view did it bring in, or whatever the fuck. Take that away and just as the sport of MMA, that was a fucking incredible card. That was an incredible card. I was like I have here rattled off just the main breakdown of the finishes and who won and how they won. So overall, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 finishes. I'd say about 70% of the decision wins were like, wow, what a fight. Do you know what I mean? It was unreal. So I'm going to start from the bottom. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Jim Miller, man, got that Lyme disease sorted. Something I didn't know that he had, or I forgot that it was mentioned on Joe Rogan or something, and I bet against him because I thought that's Jim Miller now. That's the way he was in his last few fights. That's the best he's going to be. And I was like, against a young buck. But no, Miller is back. Apparently, he kicked Lyme disease in the fucking face, although you still kind of have it, apparently. But it's kind of like AIDS in the modern day. You take certain amount of medicines in a certain dose, and you take it consistently, you therefore don't have any of the side effects of this actual thing anymore. So it's still in your system, but your life isn't in any way affected or brought down because of it. So Jim Miller got a rear naked choke in the first round. Like, Jim Miller, fucking hell, the Miller boys don't around. Should have seen the video of his brother. Like, he had water in his hand, and he's like crushes the bottle of water and squeezes. Going mental. Like, it was really good. Then Jeff Neal KO head kick. Dude, Camacho. That was a good fight. It was back and forth. Camacho was a bit of a Diego Sanchez, kind of planting his feet and winging and not really hitting as much as Neal was kind of able to pop him and stuff. But then, like, at one point, the commentator, I can't remember which one it was, they were like, man, that stiff jab from Jeff Neal is a lot of trouble right now for Camacho. Two of those solid jabs alone could drop him. And as he says that, boom, head kick to the face. And Camacho went down. Jeff Neal KO, head kick, round 2. Aljamain, one of the two ridiculous knee bar subs. It was more of a bit of a knee bar, the way Aljo did it. Oh, God, if only I could have the video to show you the position. But Jesus, the pop from that guy, the way he had him against the cage and rolled in, and he used his other leg to kind of pop his knee over it and turn it. It was so wrecked. Like, a lot of times you watch subs, you're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, you'd have to tap. But sometimes, and it's rare, but sometimes you see subs in UFC, not in jiu-jitsu matches or EBI or shit like that. You see that shit all the time. But in UFC, it's rare when you see a submission, you're like, oh Jesus. Oh, it's not super rare, but they're not as common as a knockout that makes you go, oh my God, he's dead. And speaking of, oh my God, is he dead? We'll get to that. So yeah, Aljamain Sterling got the sub. Sulov stretch / knee bar in round 2. Tatiana, the Titan Suarez. Man, I said it a while ago. That girl, if she gets the right track through the UFC and she doesn't just get like her first or second shot thrown at the main event, thrown at the champion or the #1 contender, she's going to be a problem for everybody. Now, people were like, oh, she should fight JJ before she fights Rose. JJ is now fighting the Bullet Shevchenko, man. That's happening. That's actually happening for the 125 belt. I wouldn't like Tatiana to go against Rose immediately. I know she's super powerful. I know she's all this, but Rose does have that extra little bit of cerebral awareness and fight experience where she can see weaknesses even when there aren't, and she can kind of lull you into a false sense of security. It's just that little bit of echelon above. I would like to see Tatiana Suarez fight Claudia Gadelha, or Jessica Andrade isn't in the weight class anymore. She did drop. So Andrade should get the next shot. I would like to see, Tatiana against the Gadelha or something of that nature. And then if she destroys again in that, I'd want to see her against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And then if she beats Karolina, give that girl a shot. She manhandled one of the most dominant wrestlers in women's strawweight by far. And she destroyed her like a rag doll. Like when a kid gets old enough and starts messing with their teddy bear and just like, it's just destruction. And the kid doesn't really know the level of, oh, you could break your toy if you play with it that hard. Tatiana was trying to break her toy, and she broke her toy in the 3rd round with just vicious TKO from on top. That girl is not to be fucked with. There's a lot to be said for how the mind game is like 90%. The mental aspect is 90%, but you can say a fair 60%. That girl has got to Olympic. She went to the Olympics and like was doing great, but then got cancer. Bet the shit out of cancer, comes back, goes on Ultimate Fighter. Now she's in the UFC, man. Like this girl is not gonna stop There's nothing in her that's gonna like wilt her or get to her. And if she's just focused on training and improving and constantly training and improving and honing and sharpening, you're looking at a future strawweight champion of the world who I don't think will be beaten anytime soon, or at least I haven't seen people in the division who are at that ability. Because not just has she ability, she is extremely powerful for that weight class as well. She's whatever the female version is of a mensch when it comes to this sport. Watch her grow. Abdul Razak Al Hassan KO round 1 to Nico Price. Man, I thought Nico Price was going to be able to weather the storm of the first round and then bit by bit use his experience and his striking to pick apart, and maybe a little bit of wrestling as well, and messing around in the ground to stifle and just constantly have Hassan guessing. Nope. Couldn't weather that storm, man. Could not weather that storm. Abdul came out swinging and he fucked him up hardcore in the first round with a solid fucking KO. Zabit, the Sulov stretch banana split. This was a proper legit Sulov stretch where he had your man's whole leg over him and then his other leg wrapping and locking his body down, his opponent's body down, so he couldn't get like that kind of thing to bring his leg. Like when you get your torso and your arse, and when you can constrict in like that, there's a natural thing where like your muscles pull in from your leg. So if your leg is being pulled and you can sit your stomach forward and get your right foot and push back, you can roll with the foot that's being pulled that way. But his right body was being locked down because Zabit was underneath him and he had his right foot locked around over his opponent's leg, so his opponent could get no solid perch for his foot in the ground to push off and try and roll with it. So his entire hamstring was just ripped and stretched, and you can see the point of the stretch where the guy is like, oh, no, I can take it, and then you see where that leg and where the hamstring stretches to the point where it pops out, it like tenses, and it really defines the shape in the body, and you can see the tensing of all the muscle and the vein and the ligaments go taut, and then that's when his face just goes and he fucking taps. It was insane. Two Sulov stretches in one night. And then Jessica Andrade, man, first off, I was like, Karolina Kowalkiewicz is going to out-experience her and keep her at a distance and just point shot her. And it mightn't be the most entertaining fight, but she'll probably win by decision. If it gets into a brawl and she doesn't do that, though, she's fucked really quick. What I didn't think was when it got into the brawl and Andrade was putting it on strong was how much Karolina was able to take. At least 3 or 4 times. Like the punch that knocked her out, the type of hit that knocked her out, she had previously eaten like 7 or 8 of them. It was like, and not like in a row, just as they kept coming in and clashing and having a bit of, they go in, you have a bit of a 1, 2, 3 duel, blah, blah, and then a flurry, and then they'll get out and get their distance. Man, and it's not, at the same time, even when it's not when she took those hits like Diego Sanchez style, she took them and was cracking and popping right back with answers of her own. It was really good, but Jesus, the power in Andrade. Oh my God, man. For a girl that small, she is small. These are small women. They're 125. Like, go and weigh yourself. Go and weigh yourself and consider the fact that most like 13-year-old, most 15-year-old teenagers are about 120 pounds. At least, you know what I mean? The girls as well. Like that. These are tiny people. And the power that girl can generate is ridiculous. Now, I know she's built like, just circles. But she's leaned out more now because she's dropped weight class. And, man, that was like watching Wanderlei Silva. If, like, the way in comics, if you know comics, they'll take a character and they'll go, let's take this entire pathos of this character, origin story and everything. But instead of it being a girl, let's put it into a guy. Or instead of it being a guy, let's put it into a girl. And just to see what that would be like. Or instead of if this guy was a villain, what if they were good? Like one of the best renditions of that is Superman Red Sun. And it's what if Superman's pod crash landed not in America, but in Russia during the Cold War. And then Superman becomes a beacon for the hammer and sickle. It's a really cool Elseworld comic. But on that same vein, watching that particular fight, how she moved and the pressure and the power comparison, that was like watching Wanderlei Silva if, how about Wanderlei Silva? But he's a girl in a really small weight, in a really light weight class in the future UFC. Like, it was ridiculous. She fucked her up, man, quick. First round KO by Andrade, insane. And then Woodley, dude, first round, Darren Till did nothing. And you're like, oh, this could be a problem for Woodley. He has been waiting. He has been taking his time. He has been watching and monitoring. And as soon as this kicks into gear in the second round, he's going to start opening up and finding homes for all of these little things he's been mulling over and taking note of as the first round has happened. Nope. I think 2 or 3 strikes were the most thrown or landed. I think 2, 3 significant strikes. That's it from Darren Till and Woodley. Dude, that haymaker, just coming in on the connect in the same kind of distance and angle and scenario that Till likes to actually knock people out. He doesn't go for the big wing. He likes people to come in quick, and they come in for their quick flurry. And as they're coming in, he gets them to miss their first one, and then as they're bringing it around for their second and coming in, he meets them with his fist and just goes on the inside. Not a lot of power generated, but just timing, speed, and the placement. It's in that exact place is where Tyron Woodley knocked him out. Till didn't seem to be able to connect with him the way he thought he was going to be able to. And when Woodley wasn't there to hit, there was kind of like, wait, what? Bang! And he went to the floor, and Woodley bait him down, was like, fuck it, I don't even need to beat this. It's like, I can sit here for ages, and you can try and get up, and I can waste my fucking time here, or I can definitely get the win. So he gets him in side control, and I don't know if it's because Darren Till hasn't been able to be put in that kind of a position before, or just with the adrenaline, or he thought, oh, I think I can get out of this. There were certain moments when Woodley was cinching up that Darce. He had Darren Till, he was on the side of him, gets his head around and puts his arm, and there was a certain point where he gets his hand, and you see it go like that over his arm, and his arm does this. And then as that happens, bit by bit, it's initially like that. And he starts walking and walking and walking up his bicep and moving and shifting his shoulder into the right place. And in those moments when it's that slow and gradual, you usually see the person knowing what's happening or get an idea of, I don't want that person to have their arm in that general area when they're at that angle and I'm sitting or lying in this position. So they're going to start doing things and maneuvering themselves to make that a lot harder. Darce chokes aren't that common for a reason. Till didn't seem to recognize it at all. You can see it in his face that he doesn't seem to be like worried or aware or anything like that. Then just out of nowhere, snap, he's like, ugh! and that's it. Like, so I think that's just a level of experience. And in fairness, it's like you can only get experience of how it feels like to be in a shit scenario and then you get tapped, how to maybe recognize that in the future from being in that scenario and getting tapped. And if you don't get in that scenario in the gym, you're going to get it in the real fight. Or at least, you know, the odds are still there, are there. Yeah, with that itself, it's a great card. Just great card. The bonuses, right? So fight at night was to Irina Aldana versus Lucy Pudilova. Aldana is that was great. She's a hardcore Mexican, and that girl is knocking around, and she is bit by bit by bit getting more honed, more skilled, and more sharp. Performance of the night, Tyron Woodley, and another performance of the night, Jessica Andrade, all well deserved. Right, now we get into the next card, which was... It was good, but it wasn't great, but it was okay. I didn't watch every fight tentatively, but the one in Russia, it was good. It wasn't great. It's all right. Jordan Johnson got a rear naked choke in the second round. Magmed Anakaliev KO in round 1. We'll go back to that. Round 1. No, that's okay. It's Mortazaliev TKO round 1-2. That's what I'm going to go back to. Blachowicz sub Darce choke second round against Krylov, and it's a good comeback for a good showing for Blachowicz. Actually, that was good. It was nice to see. A nice matchup as well. And then Oleinik rear naked chokes Mark Hunt, which is funny because I'm pretty sure he mentioned something along the lines of, I don't think you can choke out a man who has no neck. Because Mark Hunt's got it's not Nick, just big fucking head, big fucking shoulders, and just not Nick, you know what I mean? He rear naked choked the guy with none. Man, Oleinik has like 60 fights, 60 professional fights, and he's still here. And he's still winning. I think he's on like a 4-fight win streak. Hold on. Where? Oh, fuck, I have to go to past events here. Fuck's sake. Hunt Oleinik. So Oleinik is... Sorry. He lost to Curtis Blades. Doctor Stoppage. That's right. So he had Victor Pesta and then Travis Brown. He beat both of them, but he lost to Curtis Blades, and he beat Junior Albini and beat Mark Hunt. Fucking hell, man. I mean, Jesus Christ. So the Mortazaliev was the one against Drew Dober. And I think it's fair to say that if you want to point to this one time where Herb Dean absolutely dropped the fucking ball, it's that fight. It is what it is. It's kind of fucked up. I don't understand why or how someone like Herb Dean was able to let that fight in the way it was go. Whatever reasons he can say, there's also the understanding of, yeah, well, Drew Dober's been in way too many fights and he's already old and shouldn't be fighting anyway. He's destroyed. He's too many hits. It's too many hits. Stop. He's flat on the canvas, face down. But I do also have to say that it's not on us to penalize and shit on a dude who, for the most part, might have maybe the least amount of mistakes over all of them. I don't agree that people are like, oh, get Herb Dean out of there. He's too old now. He's missing. Dude, if you think because of this one or two mistakes that means Herb Dean shouldn't be there, well then get ready to say goodbye to every fucking ref ever. Herb Dean, John, the two Johns, although Big John isn't with us anymore. That sounds really bad. He's not with the UFC anymore. He's gone to Bellator. But Mark Goddard and Josh Rosenthal, they're fucking like Herb Dean. I mean, you know what I mean? With the exception of like those and maybe one or two, like there isn't a lot of fucking superstar refs. There's only a few that we can mention by name that are known because how good they are, which shows how weak the overall system is. Now, these people, especially people like Herb Dean and Big John, do actually teach people to be refs. But this takes a long time. I think the timeline in and around is 10 years, 5 years, 5 or 10, depending. But we got to recognize that errors are going to happen. This is human error. Errors are going to happen. There isn't a massive team all there right now with like headsets and everything, making sure every fucking call and every decision is double, triple, quadruple checked in fucking record split time like you would on like an NFL pitch or something like that. Should that be the case? Maybe. I wouldn't know how to go about it. That's not my expertise. I couldn't even, like, I don't know how to create things like that. But we have to recognize the fact that this is the way it is. And these are people, and people are going to make human error. It just so happens that when a ref makes a bad call in this, what constitutes or what can happen because of a bad call are a lot closer to than fuck's sake. Like if you watch football, soccer, I think you will very, 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 or if you go in, you very quickly learn, especially European, in the phrase "the referee's a wanker," which is a chant that is translated into many languages, where for any reason a call or a decision happens that a group of people watching the match aren't okay with, you will then get coarse chantings of "the referee's a wanker" in every language. So refs, let's be fucking clear, get a shit rep all the time, get the worst shit, and the first people to get a stink when an event or a sporting event or interaction has any kind of squirrely element to it or bad call kind of thing. But back the fuck off, because they are the best of what we have, and you want them to be there. You want them to stay there. You want them to... You don't want them to make the mistakes, but if they're going to happen, you want it to be by a person who knows that if they make that mistake, they're like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe I did that. And going back over the footage and going, no, I absolutely fucked up. And making sure that they go into their own head and into the statistics and the reality of what was it that made them make that decision? What things were they looking for? Or what things did they miss seeing that made them make that decision? And then incorporate that into the new structure, into your next fight, and into the teaching that he does for his refs. A lot of times, man, there's going to be refs where a bad call happens. That's it. Ref's gone, done, and then they're replaced with another ref. Like Kim Winslow, I haven't fucking seen her in a while. Eva Levine, not that common anymore. Mari Yamasaki, is he still even there? Steve Mazzagatti was fired, and even Steve Mazzagatti, and I shot on that guy. I meant it as in relevance to him doing his job. People seem to shit on him as in, because he let fights go, he is an incomparable human being and a bad person and immoral and evil and all these. And he's a lovely man with the family. So most of these people are lovely people with families and friends who love them, and they're good people and they don't want to hurt people. And shit does happen. And I think it more can be avoided by having a better overall system, so it's not necessarily down to a ref like Herb Dean to have to set up his own fucking training school to teach people, where we don't get to learn names like Herb Dean and Josh Rosenthal and Mark Goddard, because they are the only names that we are constantly seeing, because they are the only ones of a caliber that you can trust. At least if one or two of them are on the card and they're going for the majority of fights are covered, we'll have a pretty decent, reputable amount of refs for these fights, because there isn't a lot of ones that are good enough at it. There's just not, especially the higher level fights. There's like a group of 4 or 5 people maybe, and they just get recycled because the organization and the fights and the fighters can't trust the rest. Do you know what I mean? That's not a good scenario, and that's down to the UFC and WME IMG to fix that. It's also down to them to get better and have some kind of a system where it's cold, but you do psychoanalysis and psychological evaluation and a big, legitimate physical cross the board test. Some people shouldn't be fighting anymore, and that's the end of it. It's just, they just shouldn't. It's nothing to do with their age. It's nothing to do with the amount of fights they've had. Some people's bodies just got damaged in a certain way, different than other people from a particular fight or from a certain amount of fights or their fighting style, and they just shouldn't really be able to fight anymore. One of the reasons why the Drew Dober thing was really hard to watch is because I've seen that guy fight for years, and then I've seen that guy reach his plateau, reach his peak, and then start to plateau and start to see everything else move past him and see him being able to take less and less damage and do less and less and be more stuck without answers to the people he's fighting. And this happens. You have your people like Oleanik. Clearly, he's doing all right. But something has to be said for that as well, that maybe we wouldn't be so freaked out when these calls are happened or when a mistake is made, because we know that the fighter isn't one of those fighters that, like, I don't really, you can never say when a fighter should retire, but I'm not 100% happy seeing Drew Dober still here at the UFC level, or what's supposed to be, you know. So I just think there's a lot more into that than, oh, Herb Dean fucked up. But anyway, I digress. And we'll go on to the fight night in Sao Paulo, which kind of relevant to my point about, you know, this is what I expect from the UFC caliber fighters. You know, you don't want certain people like, you know, maybe older fighters or people who've had their ticket punched still fighting. But then again, if you're talking about a fight like the UFC fight night, the one that happened recently, Santos versus Anders, I'm not sure that UFC caliber qualifies anymore as a reputable statement. Look, man, it's not that the fights weren't eventful. It's not that there weren't some finishes. It's the fact that for the pretty much the entire card, it very much lacked the presence of the highest level of MMA. Like, I felt I've watched Bellator fights that have higher caliber fighters in it than some of the performances I saw. And even the better fighters weren't exactly against dudes of a class that brought out the best in the other fighter in regards to how deep they are in the game. It was all just very, oh, blockbuster win, yay. I don't know. I mean, like, you have Marcos and Rodriguez. I mean, I don't like when a fighter wins by a certain way, by like just kind of sitting and kind of just whatever. But realistically, Marcos did edge out the decision. You don't want to draw in a female... Sorry, you don't want to draw in a low weight class of fighters that don't have the biggest name, because nobody cares. No one's going to want to see the rematch. And both these girls now, neither of them get a fucking win bonus. So, well done. You have the Burrell UL thing, which is, oh, Burrell just didn't lose because he's against the real high caliber MMA UFC guys. No, Burrell lost against a guy who'd get his ass kicked by the majority of people in that weight class in the top 10, top 15. Wasn't anything there. Alvi versus Nogueira. What the fuck are we doing here? Like, I don't even know what happened in that fight. Why? I mean, the fact that Nogueira winning is one of the worst things. He's going to fight again, and then they're going to give it an opponent, and he's going to want an opponent that actually will be able to fucking murder him in the cage. And Sam is hit or miss. I think Sam has to settle on a fucking weight class and settle on a legit training camp and not just keep taking random fights all the fucking time. It's going to be hard to find serious, legit improvement and growth if you're doing that, and you will have those nights where you get knocked out by Little Nog. No offense, but the guy is like as old as fucking stone. He's old as the granite, like in some of my castles in my country are made of. Oliveira versus Pedro Soli. Man, I don't care. Pedro Soli's not that good. He's not that well known. I mean, if Charles Oliveira doesn't destroy him, it's fucking like what? So the fact that it was like, that's a prelim. That level of fight, not just the opponents and how well they're known, it's also the level of fight that can be provided should be the best of the best at the very top, and then degrade it down break it down as a fight start from the early prelims and shit. I mean, why was Charles Oliveira in the early prelims? Why was that? That didn't need to be. Like, why was the fight kicked off with Marcos versus Rodriguez? Why wasn't it kicked off with Oliveira versus Galagos and Marcos Rodriguez the finishing to that? Why wasn't Barao further down the card? And Saki and Sherman, who are actually names that are going up, why aren't they there? Why didn't they give Evan Dunham, who said this is going to be my last fight, why didn't they fucking give him, put him on the main card? Just so many things. And then Santos versus Anders. Neither of these people are good enough, man. I'm sorry. Oh, Santos was great. Santos, what weight class is this? What fucking weight class? 205. Do you think either of them are going to beat Gustafsson? Do you think, I mean, anywhere close to that? Do you think any of them are going to get anywhere close to fucking Daniel Cormier? I mean, Jesus! Now, I know we have to let fighters work the way up, and you have to, you know, the rankings are kind of slim, blah, 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 in the lightweight, light heavyweight. That's irrelevant. They shouldn't be the main event on the main card. Oh, well, it fell through. Then fucking do something else. I don't know. It's because they have to fucking fix a date with FS1 and all this shit, and it's contracts, and you have to have stuff by a certain date. You have to have an event, otherwise you lose it, and you lose the money you put down for it, so whatever. But it was not eventful. It was not that good, and something really, really, really has to be said about the ignorance people have for the translators. Cool. I'm going to speak for 10 fucking minutes solid in a massive, massive, massive rant so that the translator has absolutely no possible way of putting my message across. So it's a private message just for me and the people from my country. Even though this is watched everywhere, and I should be actually saying shit to the people who run the business, because I just want to fight, and I want a new fight, and I want to keep getting paid and people to know me, and it's a worldwide fucking company, so maybe I won't just have a private conversation in the fucking corner with my mates. That's essentially what most of the... And anytime a fighter does that in any fucking language, and just gives so much for like the translator to have to translate that, there's just not, it's not going to do anything. It's gonna be, it's like, yeah. They enjoy being here. They enjoyed the fight. Thanks. Like, that's not what they said. You might as well just go, oh, it's a private conversation, but he's happy to be here. And any fighter who does that, like, that's a dick move. This isn't a fight. This isn't an event in your local home, in your house, with your family. You're like, oh yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. No. This is an international event that happens to be held where you are. Speak your own language 100%. Talk to people of your own country, in your own city, your own town 100%. But don't dick over the fighter and everyone else trying to watch who would actually like to learn more about you by giving us no possible chance of the translator being able to actually say what you said back to the person. Also ignorant to the person holding the mic. So they're just holding it while you are talking to everyone else, or the people you know, your private conversation through a microphone, and the person holding it's just there, and there you are. And then the translator's like, I don't really have anything I can say. That guy talked for 15 fucking minutes straight and didn't even breathe once. Okay, I guess I'll just leave the octagon then. And so will you. Yeah, okay, bye. And fuck you, UFC, for not having a translator and even at the least subtitle caption for the post-fight press conference. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You do this every time you go to a foreign country. It's ridiculous. And the ones for English as well. I don't know if Sweden can get a fucking Swedish translator subtitles on every UFC live video. I don't think they can. I don't, because it doesn't work when it happens in other countries, England, for the English language, and that's, you would assume, is one of the most vastly spoken in the business world. It seems if you're from France, if you're from Germany, if you're from Mexico, or like, you know, Latin America or anything like that, UFC, except for maybe like one or two certain events, UFC don't make sure that things are embedded automatically with subtitles so that everybody can, you know, share the moment together. It's weird. It's a joke. Everything about that event just annoyed the shit out of me. Eric Anders collapsing, going back to his corner, that was insane. But whatever. Santos won by knockout in round 3. Yeah, 4 minutes and 53. They counted it as, okay, that's weird. I don't get it. Oh, he knocked it out. Oh, did he get it? Okay, whatever. Anyway, that is what it is. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's move on and break down some of these fights. Oh yeah, hold on a second. Is that this weekend? Yes. It is. When is, by the way, the heavyweight one? I should say at the very end is expected for more battle. Blah 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 blah. A tournament between for Bellator 208. So when is Bellator 208? Come on, just have the fucking date of when it's on, man. Jesus. You're supposed to say at the end, Bellator, whatever, will take place at the blah, 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 blah event at this time, at this date. Or is there no actual time or date announced for it yet? October 13th. Okay, so yeah, so 206 is first. So let's look at this fight card. That is this weekend. It's the 29th. Yep, this Saturday. Oh, it was a huge preliminary card. Okay. I know none of these people. I'll go through the names in case anyone else does. So Anthony Figueroa Jr. versus Samuel Romero. Chuck Campbell versus Joseph Ramirez. Laird Anderson versus Ahmed Abdelaziz. Is that Ali Abdelaziz, like, relative? Okay, wow. Apparently that's a really common name because I just put it into Google and there's like a fuck ton of people with that name. There's an Ahmed Abdelaziz who is a fucking actor. And he's like 63 years old. That's clearly not the guy I'm looking for. There's Ahmed Abdelaziz. There's a picture of him, MMA. Oh, actually, if I just put MMA after it, probably be a bit easier. Well done, Dan. Learn to Google. Ahmed Abdelaziz is his brother Ali Abdelaziz. No, you son of a bitch. I said back. Sorry. What? Ali Abdelaziz, alternately spelled Abdelaziz, whose real name is Ala El-Din, pronounced Aladdin. Rakjeb Fakhri Abdelaziz is an Egyptian-born former member of the Muslim Americans jihadist cult group. Is an alternative name for blah 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 blah. He also used a similar alternative name. Imported name Robert Britton. Two sources of Ali's name. Hold on, what the fuck is it? Why does it have a picture of Ariel Helwani and? Okay, so current and former MOA affiliated source differ on how. And by the way, MOA is Muslims of America. Okay, hold on. Management manages his high-profile fighting. He's currently in this center of a scandal due to allegations of corruption by veteran MMA journalist Mike Russell of Real Fight Stories, according to Dominance MMA's website. Ali manages prominent athletes including Frankie Edgar, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Renzo Gracie, Rashad Evans, Rustam Khabilov, Naaman Gracie, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Muslim Salikov, Islam Makhachev, Abdul Zaitar, and many others, most of which names reflecting Islamic and/or Central Asian backgrounds. Is connected to a scandal over links between UFC fighters and Ramzan Kadyrov. Oh yeah, that's that whole thing about Ramzan Kadyrov and everything. Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Okay, I don't think they are related, but nevertheless, Jacob Yacro Ignacio Ortiz, Isaiah Gonzalez versus Kai Wu, Cass Bell versus Tai Costa, Abraham Vesau versus DeMarco Villona, Josh San Diego versus Joe Neal, Amber Liebrook versus Alan Blenko, Danasab Muhammad versus Sal Bakara, Jeremy Labiano versus Justin Smitley. I did read Smitley, but just said Smitley. Gaston Bolanos versus Yashdiro Gutierrez. Shiro Gutierrez. Okay. Adam Picciotti versus James Terry. Then in the main card, we have Kerry Melendez. Kerry Melendez, I'm so fucking dyslexic, versus Dakota Zimmerman. Oh, and she's related to Rob. We related. We'll be do MMA together. Douglas Lima, versus Andrei Kroshikov. Quinton Jackson versus Wanderlei Silva's on that card. Excellent. What a ridiculous contest. And then Gegard Mousasi versus Rory McDonald for maybe one of the greatest welterweights going. How could you say that? Woodley's clearly one of the best welterweights going. Yeah. And Rory beat him. Like, successfully picked him apart. Shut him down. Will the same thing happen now? I don't know. But, woo! Gegard and Rory is going to be a barn burner. Both those guys are savages. Mad motherfuckers and legit crazy. In the best way possible. So, looking forward to that. Fedor versus that. Well, I'll get to that later because that'll be later on. Man, check out some of Chael's videos on YouTube. That guy's brilliant. And I like those videos because I can only handle Chael in portions. And they're the perfect portions and morsels. Because if you think that he doesn't know what he's talking about and he has no real idea or real opinion to be taken with credit in the world of MMA, you've no idea what you're talking about. That guy knows so much shit. He sees so much shit. And he has been a part of a lot of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when anything comes into steroids and testing and everything, I take his opinion very, very, very highly. Because what he's doing, and he's like, hey, I did it. I did it. And they were like, we found you did this. And I was like, well, that makes sense because I did it. So, yeah, he's great for that shit. God, man, that Ali Abdelaziz, Kadyrov, Khabib, Conor, like, Jesus Christ. That press conference was insane. First off, as soon as it started, me and Lam looked at each other and we were like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. And I was like, what, are you talking about the fact that there's clearly an absence of any kind of atmosphere? The fact that there's not a single fucking fan and it just looks unbelievably odd and awkward. I'm like, yep, that'll be it. That'll be the thing I'm pointing out. Man, that was fucking weird at the beginning. And like, fair enough, fair to him, man. Conor made it very clear. He was like, where the fuck are the fans? This is ridiculous. This fight's for them and they don't get to see it. What the fuck is that about? That's ridiculous. And these aren't obviously his words, but I'm paraphrasing. Man, like, there was at that point, it was like, all right, if there's no, like, see, here's the thing. If the fans are there, Conor has to do a lot less. And sometimes someone just asking Conor a question gets the fans going, dum dum dum, pounding the fucking stage. Fuck blah blah. Fuck whoever the opponent's name is. Fuck whoever the opponent's name is. You know, chanting and shit. Whereas none of that was there, so he had to create this extra level of atmosphere, and people watching him like, I think he's lost his edge. Oh, he's going down a long road. There's a lot of people who don't understand that somebody can go from 0 to 10 and then back to 0, and how they are when they were 10 and now at 0, there's no connection, and they only went to 10 for this particular reason because they chose to, not because they just ended up getting to 10, or they were already at 9 when they walked out and now they're at 10 and they can't hold it. Pay very close attention. There is a moment, one guy, I can't remember his name on Twitter, I can't to fucking shout it out, but he summed it up very, very well. Conor did everything he could every second to get a rise out of Khabib and to get his attention to change. Which, oh no, and during this whole time, Khabib was holding stoic, placid, and completely patient up until the point when he wasn't. Not long after the conference ended. Because Conor said, right, let's do some pictures. Let's get the face-offs going. There is a point where Khabib is turning to him and talking to him while Conor's being asked a question that isn't necessarily particularly talk about your opponent. He was asking how his camp is going and stuff like that. And Conor had changed and he was sitting down, sitting more cushly, more relaxed. Instead of sitting like this or whatever, he was sitting like this and he had the mic, and very slowly, very patiently, very calmly turns around and goes, would you let the man, I'm trying to answer his question. You know, let the man get his question asked, for God's sakes. And Khabib was like, what do you tell me? And me and Lam, like, that was just a couple of, like, all that happened like a second or two. Just that change. And me and Lam just kind of looked at each other and was like, dude, did you see? Yeah, man. That whole time, nothing was getting to Khabib, but now look at his body language. And I was like, dude, he's turned over in his, like, talking directly at him. And I was like, dude, he wasn't even being asked a question. Conor was. And I was like, dude, you can tell. Some people don't have the ability to go from 0 to 10, then back to 0, and have no adverse energy still lingering from when they were at 10. They don't. I think the best example of this for a generic is a good actor. People accept it as a thing people can do, and people accept it as a thing that's allowed. If someone can even do it when you're on a movie set. But how else do you think these great movies get and TV shows get made if a person can't go from laughing and talking and having a great time chatting to someone who could be their best mate to then screaming and shouting and then having to pretend to bash the person's face in with like a rock or a telephone because in that scene they're having a fight and that person goes too far and then that person commits a crime or a murder in that scene. They have to go from 0 to 10 to make it believable to everybody that that person has a desire to fight for their life and is going to kill this person. They already have the upper hand, but they're so angry and so enraged with this person in front of them underneath their heel that they're just going to continue smashing their head in with the fucking phone, the clothes, anything heavy and solid. Cut. And then, Jesus, I'm so sorry about that. Did I spit on you? No, you didn't. And hand the person back up and then go for a coffee and have a smoke with each other right outside as they're resetting. You have to be able to do that or you don't get to act. And you have to be able to do that so that even if you do get to act, you then get asked back and that the movie's actually good or that you're good in the movie. Conor is one of those people who has that ability. It just so happens that people who do that and who turn that on aren't that common in MMA. It's common in a lot of other sports, the whole, whoa, yeah, I'll go fuck you up, yeah. But people don't take it to heart because it's just about putting a ball in a net, usually. When we know the end game of the sport is to hit someone in the face, we can't seem to separate the hyping of the fight, the tension, the mindset that fighters will get themselves into, and, you know, who they are as actual people. We have a real big problem separating that. And it's weird as fuck if you ask me. And I think it says a lot about the people themselves. And it's not like that. Even in the UFC, there are people who are fighters who will be great actors. But for whatever it is about how they learned mixed martial arts, they will never turn that on for the sake of a fight. That's just who they are. Like, I'm not going to shit on a dude and shout at them to get a fight. And that's completely fair. I respect that. You know what I mean? I love that. It's one of the reasons why GSP is such a fucking pillar of a champion. However, the reason why Conor draws as much as he does is because he does what you saw at that press conference. The only difference is he had never needed to do it to that extent because the opponents weren't that mentally fucking tough and grounded. And Khabib is somebody who's from a part of the world that they are just harder and more aware of the reality of fucking strife and pain and real problems. So all this talk, smack, and, you know, I'm going to you up and all that kind of stuff and like half-ass problems, this is number one bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it's not in their game. It's not in their mentality. That's not their bag. That's not who they are. And so Conor really had to dig deep and go almost full-on Heath Ledger Joker. And Khabib blinked. I mean, I didn't think it would. Most of that press conference, especially when it got a bit further and further with Conor still going, I got this bit of a feeling, and Lam got a bit of a feeling like, oh man, Khabib is just not biting any of this. Conor's going to end up looking real silly by the end of Khabib. He's not going to get to him. He's too stoic. He's too stoic. He got to him. That surprised the shit out of me, man. But he got to him. I can't wait. I will say this, though. He got super geopolitical. And, like, there are some people who really don't understand MMA, building up a fight, anything like that. They just heard, he said, what about who? Or about what? And they, are like, cool, we're going to murder him. And you're like, oh, God, no. Please don't. And, like, it's not a joke. Then it's like, oh, no, we're hiring more security. It's not a PR thing. That's a genuine... No. The odds that he said something that really fucking pissed somebody off are really high. So you gotta, take precautions and shit. But man, fuck, if that doesn't make you excited for this fight, I don't know what. And it's already going to be insane. Like, okay, let's just go through the card. I'm not going to stop and go mental on every fight. Let's just go through, okay? So, early prelims. Ryan LaFleur versus Tony Martin. Gray Maynard versus Nick Lentz. Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman versus Alain Patrick. And then ending the prelims with Lena Landsberg versus Yana Kunitskaya. Then we start off the prelims. Okay, Aspen Laden, Tanya Everger. Maybe switch that with Ryan LaFleur and Martin. It won't be switched because this is the final card, but switch it. Vincente Luque versus Jalen Turner. Oh, he's looking for a fight, dude. Actually, fucked someone up real recently. Sergio Pettis versus Hercier Formega. That's a fight. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Jose Quinones. Look, Quinones is good. Mexicans are hard. You can't really put away a Mexican. But man, I really don't think Sugar is just a flash in the pan. I feel and I believe the evidence is almost there in his nature that as long as he doesn't let the fame go to his head and he sticks to the books, to the grinding and to learning and honing and sharpening, he's going to fuck a lot of people up, man. Michelle Watterson versus Felice Herrig. Well, that's one of the most attractive fights that's ever been made. And a fight that you're going to get a barn burner till the bitter end. This is going to be back and forth like a motherfucker. We're going to see back and forth in the ground and back and forth in the feet. It's going to be awesome. I honestly don't know who's going to win. It's either going to be Michelle Watterson by submission or Felice Herrig by TKO. In regards to the decision, I don't know who's better than the other to win by decision, but maybe Felice has a bit more UFC experience to know how to win by decision. Either way, that's going to be a cracking fight. And yeah, I'm a dude, and yeah, like for her and all that, but those two women are gorgeous. It's not insulting to say that they're gorgeous. And it's actually insulting to be like, no, all women look the same. They all look the same. They're all cardboard. It doesn't matter what they look like. No, they're beautiful women. And they're awesome fucking fighters. And if you're a woman and you say that it's not great to see good-looking men who are ripped in a fight together, you're lying. In the same way, if you say, oh, I just watch the female fights because, you know, the fights, I don't care that some of them are good looking. I watch them all with the same level of paying attention. No, you don't. It's a lie. These women are gorgeous and are brilliant fighters who are very similar in where they are right now in their ability in this sport. And I can't wait for that. It strikes all the things for awesome. Ticks all the boxes. Lewis versus Volkov. If I knew for a fact Lewis has got his surgery, the whole shebang, they found exactly what surgery needed. They got it completely sorted. He's gone through rehab. Surgery was a success. Rehab was a success. He's back to normal. I would say majority of people are fucked. But considering that's not the case and all he recently had was just cortisone shots, or I might have had stem cell shots. If they were stem cell shots that he had, we could be in an okay place. It's not a permanent fix, but we could be in an okay place. But it's not permanent. But at the same time, if you have regular injections, over like I think it's one every 6 months, or depending on the injury or what it is you need it for, and what kind of healing the stem cells are doing. Once you have them regularly enough, you kind of, it's as if you never needed them anymore. Like that joint, that whatever it is that you're using, works back as if it never had a problem. So if that's the case, I say Derek Lewis by fucking smashing him to pieces. If not, I think Alexander Volkov might win by decision just by outworking him, outpacing him, and getting him into situations where his back is going to be a problem for him to gain momentum and gain the advantage in a situation. So that's a pick and fight if I'm actually being real about it. And the more info I get, I'm going to do a bit more info into Derek Lewis and exactly what was he had. He just said, getting my final shots It didn't actually say what it was. So I don't know if it was stem cell or just cortisone, because there's a huge difference. Saint Peru versus Dominic Reyes. That's going to be fun. And man, body-wise, Peru looks a weight class different. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. And considering Pettis' last look, woo! He's doing good, man. That boy is doing good. That boy's doing good. I hope if we get that Pettis again, this can be a great fight. However, I don't want the idea of how cool the matchup is and Pettis' recent performance to make people forget that Tony Ferguson is a bad motherfucker. And up until very recently, except for the bullshit of the number one bullshit of the just tripping over a wire, not his fault. It was a question between Ferguson, Khabib, or Conor McGregor. One of them is the best. One of them. It's nobody else. It's one of them. Who is it? We couldn't see. We still don't know, because Khabib hasn't fought Tony. Tony hasn't fought Conor. Conor hasn't fought Khabib yet. We're still fucking waiting, and only Khabib's fighting Conor right now. Be realistic about this. I don't think Pettis has a fucking chance. And then finally, Khabib versus Conor McGregor. I'm going to do another picks for this. I'm going to try and get someone to come down and do picks with me. I might have to do it on the weekend instead. But it's hard because people are wrecked after going out on the night. So I don't know. But I'll see what I can do. This is anyone's fight. This is anyone's fight. This is, by far, without a doubt, the toughest, most even odd fight matchup that Conor's ever fucking been involved in. Ever. Including Diaz. And I'm not going to pick yet. But I just want to point out, look at that fucking card. And then look at this card, right? I'm going to get into now UFC 30. They still don't have a main event. I mean, considering who's on here, I know Dana said what he said. But if it's not Jones, who the fuck is it? It's not Woodley. Woodley's having hand surgery. He is out. Therefore, there is no Colby fight. There is no GSP fight. Ferguson is on the card of Khabib and Conor. So, just have a look at this, right? You got Jason Knight versus Jordan Rinaldi. You got Luke Rockhold versus Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman versus Chris Weidman. 2. You got Shane Burgos versus Kurt Hollebach. Okay, I don't know who that is. Julio Acre versus Shaman Moraes. Yeah, okay, whatever. Carl Hot Chocolate Robertson versus Jack Marsham. That's actually going to be a good fight. You have Brian Boom Boom Kelleher, or Boom Kelleher versus Domingo, Latin American looking version of Kenny Florian Pilarte. Poirier versus Diaz. That can be a headliner. Souza versus Branch. That better be lower than Rockhold and Weidman. The fights aren't set up into their rank of like main event, prelims, early prelims. So hopefully at the moment Souza and Branch are well above. I've seen fight nights. I've seen a UFC, like you can see fight nights where Souza and Branch are a main event. Poirier and Diaz is good enough. Oh yeah, by the way, fuck, how did I forget that? Matt Frivola versus Lando Venata, Rubberman Venata. Lyman Good versus Sultan Aliyev. And Derek Brunson versus Israel Adesanya. Jesus, in those pictures, Brunson looks 2 weight classes ahead of Israel. Fucking hell, Israel. And to be announced, still, and it's not John Jones. If it's not DC versus Gustafsson, what are we doing? If it's not John Jones and it's not DC versus Gustafsson, what are we doing? No one else is worthy of carrying that card. Everyone else is like it busy, you know. Like even the one after that, Cerrone versus Perry, Benavides versus Borg, Edgar versus Young. They're all on the same card together, you know. Ashley Otter versus Amanda Cooper. That's a good fight, man. They're both really bad, but have potential. I think Yoder might have a bit more potential. I think she might be a bit more well-rounded. I'm gonna say Ashley Yoder destroys Amanda Cooper. Oh shit! Durandame is back against Raquel Pennington. I would love Raquel to win. I don't know if she will, but I'd love Raquel to win. But yeah, here's my point, man. There's a lot of good fights matched up already. There's nobody else. If I'm missing someone, please, someone point it out. But like either DC fights Brock, which he's going to want to because it'll be the most amount of money. So I doubt he's going to drop down and fight Gustafsson, or else he does. But if not, who the fuck else? I mean, DJ versus Cejudo, there is no way enough time to market that at all. That's not a Madison Square Garden fight, main event. It's just not. I love those guys a lot. TJ Dillashaw, maybe one of my favorite fighters in general. He's definitely up there of what I think are pound for pound. He not necessarily pound for pound, but I do believe he is one of, by far, the best fucking modern strikers in mixed martial arts. He's unreal. Who? If it's not John Jones, man, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of the allegations made by Conor McGregor are kind of bang on the money. The only thing that's iffy, that's like, well, is the fact that he's also posing in the picture with Putin. But all the stuff he said about Kadyrov and everything like that, that's all completely true. And Ali Abdelaziz, and he has a son he owes like 50 grand of child support that he's never paid to, and stuff. Like, man, that guy does his homework. I can't wait for this fight. This is going to be so good. I'm going to do another podcast about it because it's just going to be insane. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being... Oh, wait. Wasn't I supposed to go to my channel and check to see? No, whatever. Cheers. I appreciate all of you, and I'll be back again with more videos and content. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. There's me on all the socials. Follow me and everything like that. I also do graphic designing, and we'll do that for a fee. So hop on to Twitter and give me a shout out if you want anything done, or you want to do anything with what my services for anything of the sort. Anyway, thank you very much. Peace.